Let's get out to Mike Seidel right now, and let's see what's going on there. Mike, your location is Chicago, and again, the reports I've seen are about an inch. Does that jibe with what you've seen so far?
Yeah, about an inch, and the roads are in pretty good shape right now, Carl, because temperatures have been right around freezing. We're right around 30 right now, and these roads have been heavily salted. Remember, we had a storm back on Monday and Tuesday, their biggest storm of the year, with 6 inches. 5.7 fell on Tuesday, so there's leftover salt. We're on the Chicago River, and we're right here on Michigan Avenue. Look at the flags being whipped by this wind. It's an east-southeast wind, so it's coming almost up the river and kind of down Michigan Avenue. Out at O'Hare, it's 22 with gusts to 37 miles an hour. So we're going to have those kind of wind gusts right on through tonight into Sunday, and because of that, we have a lakeshore flood advisory. Those lower susceptible areas may have some overwash with those waves. Expected to be up to 8 to 10 feet. Looking down Wacker here, this is what I'm talking about. All the salt they've thrown down earlier this week and today, pre-treatment, and the plow just went by, so the roads right now are wet. Now, when it starts snowing harder, they will slush up. But keep in mind, temperatures tonight are not really going to fall that much, maybe 29 degrees. Their average high is 31, 32, so it's going to be a relatively balmy night by Chicago standards. And if you want to put it in perspective, the wind chill right now is 16. I was standing right here exactly 2 years ago today. It dropped to 23 below zero. The wind chill was nearly 50 below zero. So all things considered, it's a relatively mild Chicago evening. How about that radar? Look at the precip coming from the southwest. Now, when you go downstate towards Peoria, Bloomington, those areas, it's rain. Temperatures in the mid-30s. You get out of where we have the winter storm warnings. We have the warning here through tomorrow afternoon here in Chicagoland. And snowfall totals, as Carl mentioned, generally about 8 or 9 inches, maybe some higher totals, maybe some lower totals, certainly as you go south and you get in that mixed precipitation. The bulk of the snow is going to fall this evening, overnight, into before sunrise tomorrow morning. We'll have snow showers throughout the day tomorrow, but that's going to be more than nickel and dime. Maybe you pick up another inch, maybe another 2 inches, but it will impact O'Hare Airport. They'll be de-icing most of the day tomorrow. Already 70 flights at O'Hare have been canceled for Sunday. That's not a huge number by O'Hare standards, considering what we would typically see in a big storm when we would have full non-COVID planes in the air. So, Ray, a big storm could be the biggest one so far this season. Right now, they're running a little bit above average snowfall-wise. Most of the snow has fallen this month, as I mentioned earlier in the week, 6 inches here in Chicago. And this storm, you know, dumped feet of snow in the Sierra, and it's going to be heading into D.C., New York, Boston, Philly, all the northeast mid-Atlantic will get a pretty good dump. You've got the timing, though, in the Midwestern cities here for Orlena.
Yeah, we do, Mike. And yes, 2 storms in a week. I don't know the last time that has happened in Chicago. Just over 11 inches for the month now. In the winter, that's been slow to start. Thanks, Mike. And yeah, we're in the Midwest and looking at...
Our meteorologist Mike Seidel is live in Chicago right now. And Mike, maybe some heavier snowfall rates on the way, and the winds have been howling there.
They have out at O'Hare. They've gusted almost 40 miles an hour. And do check with your air carrier because we've got more flights canceled tomorrow at both Chicago airports. I want to show you the difference between the roads and the bridges. We always see on the roadsides, and we always talk about the Weather Channel, that bridges and overpasses ice up first. Well, here's a prime example. This is the disabled bridge here on Michigan Avenue. And look at the snow that's accumulated on the bridge because the cold air surrounds it. But then we come down here to Wacker Drive, and you can see here that we've got plenty of pavement over here as far as being able to see it. Now, there is some slush out there, and if we do get those snowfall rates coming in here, we expect an inch or more an hour. They'll slush up pretty good, too. It is 30 degrees, so we're not talking about Arctic cold, but certainly cold enough to snow. You can see some slush here on the roadways, and the plows will come on by. The other thing is the wind. Let's go back, and we'll show you the flags over there on the bridge. And the wind's east-southeast. It'll go east, then tomorrow northeast, but really coming right up the Chicago River from the lakefront where we have a lakeshore flood advisory, and waves could top out at 8 to 10 feet. So, Carl, quite a storm here. It will likely be the biggest storm we've had this season. Earlier this week, Monday and Tuesday combined with 6 inches of snow, and we should do at least that much at the official reporting station, O'Hare International Airport. Carl?
And Mike, as those winds start to come around off the northeast part of the lake tomorrow, a little bit of an assist from the lake in terms of some of those snowfall rates.
Yeah, we may get a little bonus tomorrow. We'll see. But the bulk of the snow will fall with the storm tonight and into tomorrow morning before sunrise, as that low pressure goes basically from near St. Louis south of us across south central Illinois into Indiana. And if you get downstate about an hour, hour and a half, it's going to be rain and not snow down towards Peoria and Champaign, Urbana, those areas. And the rain snow line basically, as you've talked about, Carl, in Indiana and Ohio and Illinois will basically be somewhere near I-70. That's going to be the changeover line, somewhere in that area where the accumulations will drop off and you'll get a mixed type of wintry precipitation.
Yeah, changeover on the way in Indianapolis tonight, but you're going to be all snow there in Chicagoland. Mike, thank you so much, and let's show you some video. Orlena setting to be the biggest snowstorm of the season. Our meteorologist Mike Seidel live on the ground, and Mike, a lot of wind there in the Windy City tonight.
Yes, and you mentioned the snowfall intensity picking up. O'Hare at the top of the hour at 8 Central now with half-mile moderate visibility, still 3/4 at Midway, and at Midway they picked up an inch of snow, or about an inch of snow in the past hour. We're looking over the DuSable Bridge, and down Michigan Avenue you can see the flags with the wind. This is an east-southeast wind off the lake coming right up the river, and look at the snow blowing around. We pan up to the tops of the skyscrapers, and they're just about barely visible. So the ceiling has come down too, along with the snow and blowing snow. So the visibility has certainly come down, and you can see the wind blowing the snow as you hit the headlights here on the bridge. So it's a windy, snowy night in Chicago. We've got the mesoscale discussion now from the Storm Prediction Center. Yes, those guys do forecast more than just severe weather. They do forecast where they think there's going to be very heavy snow, and we've got this band across parts of Iowa into across parts of Illinois into Indiana, where snowfall rates could top over an inch and a half in the next few hours. So you can see that on the radar, that band. Everything's coming in from the south and west. The storm will stay to our south, so we're going to stay in the cold air in Chicago. It's all snow. As you get downstate towards Peoria, towards I-70, those areas, that's where you get into the rain. And down towards Evansville, it's all rain as the storm goes by those areas and stays to our south. Tomorrow, the winds will come back around to the northeast off the lakefront. Speaking of the lakefront, we could have wave heights 8 to 10 feet later tonight and tomorrow. There is a lakeshore flood advisory for those areas that are susceptible to those big waves and higher water levels, with water up maybe a foot or two with that push from the east and northeast. Snowfall totals, we're looking for 6 to 10 inches around Chicagoland. Pretty good snowfall. Now back on Monday and Tuesday, they had 6 inches. So this is likely going to be the biggest storm of the year. Certainly, when you think about how little snow they had going into January. In fact, most of the snow that's fallen this winter has fallen this month, despite the fact that last month and this month have both been about 5 degrees warmer than average. Not the bitter cold. I mentioned earlier, Ray, 2 years ago, this date, January 30th, 2019, we were standing right here on Michigan Avenue. And that morning, it was 23 below zero, and the wind chill was 49 below zero. The wind chill tonight, 15 above zero. So it's relatively mild by Chicago standards for late January, with temperatures tonight around 30, and that's about where they should be in the middle of the afternoon. But certainly cold enough for snow, and we're going to get it. The bulk of it falls tonight into about sunrise tomorrow morning, and then there'll be some more snow during the day tomorrow, maybe another 1 to 2 inches. And out at O'Hare Midway, they'll be de-icing. So far, 70 flights canceled at O'Hare tomorrow, and 67, I think I last checked, 67 at Midway. That's arrivals and departures. So check with your air carrier just to be on the safe side if you're flying in and out of Chicagoland on Sunday. Ray?
All right, Mike. Yeah, I remember that day well. I was on the radio on WLS there in Chicago, and yeah, 23 below zero. And just remember, when it says above average, it doesn't mean it can't snow. It just means that it's above average, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so
exactly.
Yeah, and Mike's in the snow. He'll be in it all night. Thanks, Mike. We appreciate the report. Strong winds and also blowing snow in Ashcombe, about half.
I want to talk to meteorologist Mike Seidel. He's live there on the ground. And Mike, I was just amazed at that shot that you showed us a little while ago, looking at the flags there and the snow coming through with the lights. You can really see it whipping around.
Boy, it is whipping, and you can hear the flags, the noise of the flags whipping from across the street. We've got Old Glory. We've got some other flags there. The wind is coming literally just down the river from Lake Michigan, which is just off to our east. So it's being channeled down the river between the buildings. We're gusting at O'Hare. We've gusted, I think, peak gust 39 miles an hour. Same goes at Midway, gusting over 30. We're out on the DuSable Bridge, and you can see we talk about bridges and overpasses freezing up before road surfaces because the cold air surrounds them. Look at all the snow on the bridge. The streets themselves are not nearly as snow-packed and snow-covered. We did have the plow come by just a few minutes ago. Let's show you down to the river. It's not frozen up. We were here 2 years ago this date, and it was 23 below for the low. The high was 10 below. It was just basically the whole river was iced. You can almost ice skate on it. And this is where they park the boats in the warmer months of the year, where you can get the architectural tour and take boats up and down the river. Hey, that's only a few months away. We'll be 3 months from now. It'll be almost the 1st of May. It'll be a lot warmer. Let's walk down to the corner here, and I want to show you what it looks like at Wacker and Michigan where that wind is whipping. Fortunately, the temperature is 30 degrees, so the wind chill's about 15 or 16. 2 years ago, the wind chill was about 50 below zero, so it kind of puts it in perspective. They had 6 inches of snow Monday and Tuesday. We're forecasting 6 to 10 with this one. So very likely this will be the biggest storm of the season. And this is what I was talking about. Not nearly as snow-packed and snow-covered versus the bridge, but the plows will have to keep up with this, and they'll try to catch up with it certainly by tomorrow morning, Carl, when the snowfall intensity backs off. That's probably going to even happen after midnight tonight once we get through the mesoband. But right now, this is about an inch an hour. The snow, the blowing snow, and right around 30 degrees here in the Windy City. Carl?
All right, main event tonight, and not too many people out and about. Mike, thank you so much. And let's take a look at the forecast for the Midwest and show you how this is like. Orlena's setting up to be the biggest snowstorm of the season for Chicago. Meteorologist Mike Seidel is live on the ground. And Mike, the Windy City living up to its moniker this evening.
Indeed, Carl, we've had gusts upwards of 35 to 39, I think is the peak gust I've seen at O'Hare. And that'll blow the snow around even at 30 degrees. We're down here on Wacker, right along the Chicago River. Here's the river back here. And 2 years ago, we were standing here, 23 below zero. The high was 10 below zero. It was a very cold January, unlike this one. Not a lick of ice on the river today. 2 years ago, it was all iced over. In fact, there was a boat coming down, cutting the ice here on the Chicago River. Meanwhile, look at the road conditions out here on Wacker. Snow-packed, snow-covered. The snowfall rate's about an inch an hour. So the plows, you know, they have to try to keep up with it. We haven't seen much in the way of plowing right now. What they'll probably do is, you know, they'll get through here a few times and then wait for the snow intensity to back up, back off. It is late Saturday night and a Sunday morning, not a lot of traffic, and they'll have plenty of opportunity to get in here and clean up these streets so that tomorrow when you get up and get out and head out on a Sunday morning, things will be in better shape. Let's get away from the bus fumes. Oh my God, the bus stopped right here with a tailpipe right here in front of my face. Anyway, so the impacts tonight certainly on the roadways right into Sunday. Tomorrow's beneficial temperatures will help out. Tonight we go down to about 29 or 30, and maybe it drops another degree. Highs tomorrow about 34, so we're going to be just above freezing. That'll help us out on the roadways, especially anything that's been treated or plowed and salted. You'll be fine, and things are going to be much better. Speaking of impacts, airports, O'Hare, Midway have had about 150 cancellations at last check between the two airports. That's really a small number versus the pre-COVID days with a storm like this. You will expect to have some kind of a delay tomorrow, de-icing at both airports, because we expect some kind of snow to fall tomorrow as far as intensity. Probably not as heavy as this, but it will snow on and off through tomorrow afternoon before it ends. And we could have some more snow later next week. We'll keep an eye on that. So from Chicagoland, temperatures tonight right around 30. We've got Ray and Carl back in Atlanta manning the maps and the forecast. And this one, guys, started off on the West Coast. A lot of rain, flooding. feet of snow in the Sierra. Now it's going to take a swath of snow from Chicago into D.C. We're going to have Chris Bruin up in Roanoke tomorrow morning, Paul Goodlow in D.C., and then we're going to have crews fan out into Philadelphia, New York, as the snow heads into Philly tomorrow afternoon. Out there on the main line, Chesterbrook, Wayne, Valley Forge, and then up through Jersey, Trenton, and into New York City by tomorrow evening.
All right, Mike, thanks a lot.
Our meteorologist Mike Seidel is live on the ground in Chicago. And Mike, as you have been mentioning, certainly this is going to be our biggest winter storm in Chicagoland all season. But as the cold goes, it certainly could be a lot worse.
Well, yes. If you think about 10 years ago, January 31st, February 1st, and 2nd, that was their third biggest on record. That was that big blizzard that shut down Lakeshore Drive in 2011. Nothing like this. The roads were not going to be shut down with this one. We can show you the road conditions. This is Wacker in Michigan. And notice there's a lot of snow out there. Now, the plows have come by a few times, but we've been snowing at about a half an inch to an inch an hour for a few hours, so it adds up. The temperature is relatively comfortable. 30 degrees. That's about the average high this time of the year. 32 is the average high tomorrow. We're going to get up to 34, so that's really going to help us out on the roadways. 34. The snowfall intensity backs off, and we get some radiation through the overcast. Not a whole lot. Airport impacts, too. They're going to be de-icing at Midway and O'Hare for most of the morning, certainly, and through most of the afternoon. Already about 150 flights have been canceled in and out of both airports combined. So you look at the road conditions. We've got the wind and the snow, 6 to 10 inches in the forecast, and also the Lakeshore Flood Advisory, because the winds, as we've shown you, the flags on here on the DuSable Bridge have been really whipping all evening. The wind is basically coming right down the river from the lakefront and gusting 30 to 35 miles an hour. That puts the wind chill, Ray and Carl, down into the mid-teens. But 2 years ago today, the wind chill right here in Chicago dropped down to 49 below zero, and the high that day on January 30th of 2019 was only 10 below zero. So put that in perspective to tonight's snow and 30 degrees, and hopefully that warms you up just a bit, Carl.
Yeah, Mike, that made me think of that Chiberia. You remember that several years ago when we had wind chills that were 50 below?
I was standing right here. It was brutal. I mean, we came out, we did 2 live shots an hour, and that's it. It was just not safe. And I remember walking to lunch that day, got to the restaurant. I was the only one in the restaurant. It was a beautiful sunny day. I mentioned temperatures only topped out at 10 below zero, but there was nobody came to work, nobody on the streets. It was brutally cold, and one of the coldest days you'll ever see in the Midwest when your highs don't even get to 10 below zero.
That was an amazing event. Mike, thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. And let's very quickly show you what's going on here.